The House impeached Mayorkas on January 28th. It was so important to impeach him and then put him on trial in the Senate because he is so evil. Mayorkas was impeached on January 28th. Did Speaker Johnson deliver the articles of impeachment on January 29th? February 1st? Did he deliver the articles of impeachment on February 28th, a month after Mayorkas was impeached? No. Did he deliver the articles of impeachment 2 months later, on March 28th? No. The immigration crisis is so important, and the man who is responsible for all the horror at the border, Alejandro Mayorkas, the head of Department of Homeland Security, he is so evil that he had to be impeached. And it is now April, and Mike Johnson still hasn't walked the articles of impeachment across the Capitol to hand them to Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer so we can finally put Alejandro Mayorkas on trial. Well, Mike Johnson has been very busy. You know, there's that Joe Biden impeachment probe that's going absolutely nowhere. Even James Comer, one of the 3 committee chairs leading the probe, admitted there's not going to be an impeachment. But that doesn't mean he's not going to keep the probe alive, because if Donald Trump was impeached twice, Joe Biden has to look like he's getting impeached in the lead up to the November elections. So obviously, Mike Johnson is way too busy to get the articles of impeachment for Alejandro Mayorkas over to the Senate. But we are now getting word this morning that after Mike Johnson returns from that much-deserved 2-week Easter vacation, he will finally get around to handing the articles of impeachment for Alejandro Mayorkas to the Senate. He's going to do it almost 3 months after they voted to impeach Mayorkas. He's going to do it on April 15th, which, by some strange coincidence, also happens to be the same exact day Donald Trump's criminal trial in Manhattan begins. I mean, what are the odds that Trump's lapdog, Mike Johnson, would try to make the impeachment of Alejandro Mayorkas the top story on the very same day Donald Trump becomes the first president in American history to go on trial in a criminal courtroom? What are the odds that the Speaker would pick April 15th to make the impeachment of Alejandro Mayorkas the top story while Donald Trump begins his criminal trial? A trial, by the way, that centers around Donald Trump forging documents to hide hush money payments he made to a porn star who he slept with only weeks after his wife, Melania, gave birth to their son. That's who this deeply religious Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, is serving. A man who sleeps with a porn star after his wife gave birth to their son. Now, we know Mike Johnson is very religious. So religious, he hates the transgender community. Hates them. Hates homosexuals. Thinks homosexuality is an abomination. He was a lawyer for Project Exodus, which tried to cure homosexuality, which is a form of torture. He's written articles, I've read them to you, insisting homosexuality should be illegal. Sex should only be had by married couples. He's written extensively on how sex should only be between married couples. He and his idiot wife did podcasts where they espoused abstinence before marriage. He thinks premarital sex is wrong. So much so, we all know about this, he took his daughter to a purity ball down in Louisiana where teenage girls wearing virginal white dresses dance around a giant cross. like it's a maypole. And then he placed a ring on her finger, and she then signs a covenant, a contract. This is a screen grab from ABC Nightline of the actual purity ball that Mike Johnson took his daughter to. And this is the actual covenant she signed, where she promised to remain a virgin until she got married. I'm not making this up. And you know about purity balls. This has been going on for decades. She makes a vow before Jesus and her father to remain a virgin until marriage. In other words, you only get to have sex with one man your entire life. And who says Republicans are trying to control women's bodies? And if you lose your virginity before marrying, if you violate that oath, you must return your purity ring and live with the shame that you have turned your back on Jesus and your father. So you can go ahead and mock these purity balls, but if it weren't for these crazy Christian fathers like Mike Johnson, nobody would be manning the poles at your neighborhood strip club. If you've always wanted to turn your daughter into a stripper or a sex-crazed junkie, sign her up for one of these purity balls. Trust me on this. We wouldn't have strippers. Tell her Jesus will punish her unless she keeps her promise to only have sex after she marries a closeted gay Christian man who can't perform on their wedding night because he's nervous, because she's not a he. I mean, this is how it plays out. You save. This is the nightmare of being born into one of these families. It's torture. You meet the right guy because he doesn't want to have sex with you. I want to wait until we're married, and then she finally gets to have sex with a man who realizes that he's gay. That's the Republican Party. It really is the Republican Party. It is as I always say, it's a repository of really sick people. Really sick people. This is really sick shit. And so we're talking about Mike Johnson, the speaker, this ultra-devout Christian who thinks sex, unless it's for procreation, is a sin. Meanwhile, he's spinning news cycles for Donald Trump, who is going on trial this month on 34 counts of forgery and fraud in his attempt to hide hush money payments to a porn star he had sex with only weeks after his wife Melania gave birth to their son. So good on you, Mike Johnson. There he is praying in our Congress, disobeying separation of church and state. There he is on his knees praying. I hope he's praying. You never know with these Republicans what they do on their knees. But good on you, Mike Johnson, you self-righteous, devout, judgmental, phony Christian. Good on you for scheduling delivery of those much-needed Alejandro Mayorkas impeachment articles to the Senate so you can deliver that on April 15th to protect your false idol, Donald J. Trump. Is there a greater Christian than Mike Johnson? I hear he pees holy water on prostitutes.
It's time right now for the David Feldman Show. So get your